A very good evening. We're coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo with your prime time news on this Wednesday evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening and welcome. I am Shah Indirampati and these are our headlines.
Attorney General informs court that IGP and former Defence Secretary aided and abetted to committing manslaughter. Suspects further remanded until the 9th of this month. Railway strike action from midnight tonight in support of the Railways General Manager who opposed the Transport Ministry Secretary. Ceylon Chamber of Commerce calls for an explanation from the government over US agreements. India's Rahul Gandhi resigns as Congress party leader.
Now for those stories in detail. Former Defence Secretary Hemesari Fernando and Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara, who are on compulsory leave, were ordered by Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna today to be remanded until the 9th of this month. The Attorney General's Department informed court, according to the Penal Code, the duo have aided and abetted in committing manslaughter.
During the hearing, Deputy Solicitor General Thusit Mudalagi said the suspects had absconded from their duties. The Deputy Solicitor General further noted the suspects' failure to act upon written and verbal intelligence reports on a potential suicide attack led to the loss of hundreds of lives. Furthermore, Deputy Solicitor General Mudalagi said the suspects who were in charge of the security of a country which has experienced a 30-year-long civil war should be aware of the severity of suicide attacks. The Deputy Solicitor General informed court, as stated in Article 294 of the Penal Code, the suspects have committed a criminal offence for their failure to take action in preventing the loss of lives despite being aware of the potential threat and the availability of clear information. In his statement to court, Deputy Solicitor General Thusit Mudalagi further informed if the suspects had carried out their duties, National Tawhid Jamaat leader Mohammad Zahran Hashim, who was responsible for the suicide attack, should have been arrested. Mudalagi added, if this could not have been done, measures should have been taken to evacuate the general public from locations which were potential targets. The Deputy Solicitor General said religious leaders, heads of the tri-forces, tourist hotels and the general public could have simply been informed through the media, police media spokesperson and other modes of communication. Presenting facts on behalf of the Attorney General, Deputy Solicitor General Thusit Mudalagi pointed out Hemesari Fernando and Pujit Jayasundara had followed no such protocol. Deputy Solicitor General Thusit Mudalagi informed court the suspects' failure to inform the Prime Minister, State Minister of Defence, Security Council heads or the commanders of the tri-forces of the intelligence they have received is a serious lapse in their official duties. Representing the suspects, President's Counsel Anuja Premaratna informed court Pujit Jayasundara was aware the head of state intelligence would divulge all intelligence to the Defence Minister. Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna inquired from the counsel of the defendant if it can be assured intelligence units had divulged this information to the relevant factions. In response, the counsel said the aforementioned procedure had been followed as instructed. The Defence Counsel further informed court Pujit Jayasundara had been prevented from attending the National Security Council since last October by the President. He further pointed out, despite this, Pujit Jayasundara had immediately informed 4 Deputy Inspector Generals of Police, including the senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, of the intelligence he had received. Taking the facts presented into consideration, Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna ordered former Defence Secretary Hemesari Fernando and IGP Pujit Jayasundara, who is on compulsory leave, to be further remanded until the 9th of this month. The magistrate ordered the prison superintendent to present the 2 suspects to court on that day. The magistrate informed the order pertaining to the request for bail made by the counsel for the defendant will be issued on the 9th. The prison superintendent had informed court in writing the suspects were not presented to court today on account of their health. Well, also making headlines this evening, railway employees are set to begin their continued strike action once again tonight. The protest is staged to oppose the efforts taken by the Secretary to the Ministry of Transport to intervene in disciplinary action taken by the General Manager of Railways.
The General Manager, as the disciplinary authority, has taken disciplinary action against a trade union leader who was under the influence of alcohol. Now the Secretary of the Ministry of Transport is intervening to safeguard this individual. He demands that this action be suspended and that this individual be reinstated in service. The Transport Ministry is intervening to have this disciplinary action halted. If they do not go back on this decision, we will stop the functioning of all railway travel from midnight tonight.
Attempts were made by Newsfirst to reach out to General Manager of Railways Dilantha Fernando proved futile. Secretary to the Ministry of Transport LP Jayampati stated that he at no point intervened to have the trade union members reinstated into service. State Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Ashok Abesinghe stated that he will take steps to intervene and resolve the issue. Meanwhile, in a letter addressed to the General Manager, Ministry Secretary LP Jayampati stated that as train services has been gazetted as an essential service, that steps should be taken to have this service continued without any disruptions. Jayampati further stated that it is the responsibility of the General Manager to complete the required cadre of workers while also taking steps to penalize those who do not attend work without informing beforehand. The railway trade unions also carried out a strike action over the last 2 Thursdays, citing issues surrounding salaries and promotions. The railway department has also stated that given that railways is an essential service, all who refrain from working on the day of the strike will be provided the opportunity to present facts about the case. The police has also prepared to obtain directions from the Attorney General regarding this matter. The police stated that they have begun looking into matters based on the complaint made by the General Manager of Railways.
The Cabinet appointed a subcommittee to consider the report of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Education and Human Resources Development, which was presented to Parliament.
The primary task of this subcommittee is to study the recommendations made and report it back to the Cabinet. Former Governor M.L.A.M. Hizbullah, who arrived at the Organised Crimes Prevention Division to provide a statement regarding a complaint made by a former member of the LTTE, made the following remarks on the Batiklo campus. No matter how much we say that there is no Sharia, if there is some doubt, that should be banished by us and the government together. I have suggested a big joint venture with the government. That's not all. I expect this to bring over 10,000 students to this country. There will be no disparity between races or religions. There are no religious subjects. This is a lie. It is a requirement of the country. So all I can say is that the government can get together and do this. I said that we can give the government administrative rights and that the UGC should be given the right to appoint the principal. I even agreed that enrolling of students can be handed over to the UGC. I agreed to any such proposal. We must remove the lack of trust the Sinhalese community currently has. To do that, set the laws and regulations and then start the university. I am in complete agreement. While a number of parties made complaints about this institution, which is owned by former Governor Hizbullah and his son, investigations into the matter are currently being carried out.
The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has requested the government to provide an enhanced level of transparency with respect to the proposed Status of Forces Agreement and the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement and their potential consequences.
Issuing a media release expressing concern with regard to the increasing levels of speculation surrounding these proposed agreements, the Chamber requests the government to clarify the exact position with regard to the current status of the negotiations and/or the execution of these agreements. The release added, while it is inevitable that differences in opinion will prevail, compliance with due process combined with a transparent process encompassing stakeholder consultation will ensure that national interest is protected. According to Non-Cabinet Minister of Economic Reforms and Public Distribution Dr. Harsha De Silva, the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement will not have any negative impact on Sri Lanka. He made this statement through his Twitter account yesterday while posting a photograph with US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Elena B. Teplitz. The Twitter post adds that despite several attempts to explain facts of the MCC agreement to the President, the Non-Cabinet Minister failed to do so for the past 2-month period. Dr. Harsha De Silva further added that the President should understand the constraints to the development of this country. In a tweet, the Non-Cabinet Minister also stated that MCC agreement was developed by Ricardo Hausmann and a group at the University of Harvard, along with an economics team, to address constraints to growth, dictating what the program should be. Dr. De Silva goes on to say that none of those involved in this regard were invited for a meeting with the President. A media briefing organized by the Non-Cabinet Minister to explain the MCC agreement was subsequently cancelled.
If Minister Harsha De Silva connected with the general public in a much broader manner, this would not happen to him. If he connects with the rural communities and the locals in villages, this would not happen to him. We will take legal action against the MCC agreement and its content. After we take this matter to courts, we will convene a media briefing and explain further in this regard. The SOFA agreement was signed in 1994 when Madam Chandrika Bandaranayake served as the president. Our government has not amended this agreement or signed any other SOFA agreement. However, we are currently discussing the matter. There was a legal issue in this regard. It was requested that if a US citizen commits any wrongdoing in Sri Lanka, legal action should be taken in the US. We rejected this. Who signed the AXA agreement in the past? It was Gotabaya Rajapaksa. However, when this agreement was signed then, there was no one to speak against it. The Millennium Challenge Corporation Agreement is a program that will benefit the country. We will receive financial aid amounting to $480 million for a road development and a property reforms program.
Three agreements linked with the USA, namely the SOFA, AXA and Millennium Challenge Corporation, have been the topic of discussion across the country in the recent past. It is alleged that the Status of Forces Agreement, or the SOFA, includes the provision relating to immunity being provided to foreign servicemen on Sri Lankan soil. The US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Elena B. Teplitz, recently termed this agreement as the Visiting Forces Agreement, or the VFA. However, the people of this country continue to raise concerns over the suspicion that US forces will be permitted to enter Sri Lanka. The Millennium Challenge Corporation of the US government approved a 5-year grant of $480 million to Sri Lanka to develop the road network in the country and for property legal reforms. Critics claim that the prime objective of this agreement is to build an economic corridor with a road network connecting the Trincomalee harbour with the Colombo port. They claim that the SOFA agreement will give access to US forces to enter Sri Lanka and use the Trincomalee harbour for logistics purposes. The Acquisition and Cross-Service Agreement, more commonly known as the AXA Agreement, is a bilateral agreement that allows the US forces to exchange supplies and services. It was this agreement that allowed the transportation of supplies to a US warship docked in the far seas from the US aircraft parked at the Bandaranayake International Airport. The AXA Agreement was first signed in 2007 and was subsequently revised in 2017. Senior journalist Iqbal Atas said that the signing process of the agreement in 2017 was a matter for concern.
And President Sirisena had to send in a cabinet memorandum on the 30th of June 2017. Now what's very important about this particular fact is that the singular version of the cabinet memorandum. Now the cabinet memorandum itself, most of the singular is the official language in Sri Lanka, and the cabinet memorandum that was forwarded by President Sirisena in Sinhalese was only 8 pages, as against 83 pages of the agreement that was submitted in English.
Now this is the
8 pages, the Sinhala version.
Sinhala version, 8 pages. This was shown to the cabinet.
Yes, together with the other one which was in English.
Yes.
But as is well known, most of the ministers read the Sinhala version, and they never had
and this
access.
is 83 pages.
83 pages.
This is the real thing.
That's the real thing.
So this is in English, and most of the people cannot read this.
Indeed. And we know there have been a number of other instances where, you know, voluminous cabinet memoranda usually gets passed because some ministers don't take the trouble to read them.
Can it still be reiterated that the Millennium Challenge Corporation Agreement, the SOFA Agreement and the AXA Agreement will not permit the entrance of foreign forces to Sri Lanka and facilitate the exchange of supplies and services?
Police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara expressed the following views.
The police headquarters decided to launch a special operation for a month starting the 5th of July to arrest drivers driving under the influence in a bid to reduce motor accidents. Police officers who arrest a drunk driver while carrying passengers will receive an award of 5,000 rupees. An award of 2,500 rupees will be paid to police officers who arrest drivers under the influence of alcohol. If a driver is charged, he will have to face a fine of up to 25,000 rupees. Police headquarters will also bring down equipment to test for narcotic substances in drivers. They'll soon be brought down to Sri Lanka.
ඒ උපකරණ ගෙන්වීම සඳහා පොලිස් මූලස්ථානයේ අවධානය යොමු වෙලා තිනවා නොපමාව ඒ උපකරණ ගෙන්වීමට පොලිසියට.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna convened a media briefing today.
Ranil's latest operation is a 90-day fast track. He has asked that within 3 months, that is 90 days, that they can make as much as they can. They are presenting all the agreements they made with foreign entities and getting them passed in Parliament. Now they will present the new land bill on Friday. If we hadn't gone to court against it, this bill would have been passed. If we hadn't gone to court, this would have been passed within 7 days. Today and tomorrow, there will be 5 cases. So through this, we can find a temporary solution. They have also planned to bring pro-federalist legislations to Parliament, be it win or lose. Within these 90 days, they plan to bring in a number of motions about banks and lands. We know that when it comes to the American agreement, nobody has said up to now that they will not sign those agreements. They are trying to sign deals that will betray this country. As an opposition, we will make a serious effort to end this 90-day fast track.
90 days fast track එක පරාජය කිරීම සඳහාත් අපි දැවැන්ත වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න.
United National Party parliamentarian Hector Appa convened a media briefing at Temple Trees today.
මුදල් අමාත්‍ය මංගල සමරවීර මහත්මයා කියනවා අපේ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා කියලා. ඔබතුමාගේ මතය කොහොමද පක්ෂයේ තත්ත්වය මේ පිළිබඳව?
මම හිතන්නේ මගේ මත. My opinion or view in this regard does not matter. I believe the statements made by the finance minister did not reflect his personal opinion. His opinion was the beginning of a program. The finance minister clearly states that we must win. The presidential candidate must have the blessings of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, senior leaders such as Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and all ministers and MPs in Parliament. He must also receive the support of our organisers and the villagers who have been our main strength. The candidate must also be a UNPer. In another week or two, everything will come into place.
සතියක් දෙකක් යනකොට උත්තර ටික ඔක්කොම එයි.
ඔබතුමාලා කැමති සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස සභාවේ සිනාවේ.
අපි අකමැති නෑ. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයාට අකමැති වෙන්නේ ඇයි?
Why should we not? Minister Premadasa is the deputy leader of the UNP. There is a leader, an assistant leader in the UNP as well. There are plenty of options. We will discuss this matter and take the right decision.
නෑ එහෙම
He has not made any statement opposing anyone.
ඔය යන්නේ මේ වෙන තැනකට දැන් යන්නේ. හරි එන බොහොම ස්තුතියි සියලු දෙනාට.
Minister Mangala Samaraweera expressed the following views during an interview where the subject of the presidential election was brought up.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke that was being spread. There is no truth to it. One thing I know is that this time the United National Party will not see an imported candidate. Why? Because the United National Party has not seen a president in more than 24 years. After 24 years, UNPers in the village are excited about the prospect of seeing their own candidate win and be elected president. Even though we have seen a government led by the UNPers have not been treated well. They could not get a job or get a transfer. Apart from this, the United National Party is one that has its own vision, so there is no need to plug in a businessman from somewhere. We have leaders who can lead the country as a whole.
Deputy leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajid Premadasa, revealed his future plan at an event held today.
People have at different times expressed different plans to develop this country. I feel that for Sri Lanka to come forward and to be a country that can compete with the world, that education in English needs to be improved. There is a national requirement to have all citizens of this country to be proficient in English. As a politician, I would like to present a plan to have 332 locations in which we will have comprehensive centers for English. We must have international level language centers established in every country. I promise that if I am given the remote control of the government, I will work to ensure that every citizen of this country will have a chance to learn to speak international level English.
The minister expressed these views at an event held to lay the foundation stone for 4 new Udagamana villages in Dammula, Peliyatta and Hambantota. These villages have been named Sivsarusaragama, Sadamihirigama, Sadamihindupudagama and Satsupemagama. A total of 95 houses are to be constructed.
The promotional campaign of the Abhimam Waran Scholarship Program, jointly powered by Anchor and the Champions Network, continued in the Badulla, Monaragala and Ampara districts today for the second consecutive day.
Abhimam Waran Perakaman Charika
Ipadunu apame Sri Lanka Abhiman Varam is a program created to identify and groom talented Sri Lankan children who continue to dream despite numerous trials and tribulations. The next phase of the Abhiman Varam promotional campaign commenced in Badulla this morning from the Bandarawala Vishaka Vidyalaya. My expectation is to pursue music in the future. This program benefits many students as it provides opportunities in multiple fields. Subsequently, the Abhiman Varam promotional campaign was continued in Haliyala and Badulla town. Another Abhiman Varam promotional campaign kicked off in the Monragala district today following the positive feedback of students from the area. Our team visited several schools including the Siambalanduwa Mahavidyalaya, Siambalanduwa Hatarakanuwa Vidyalaya and the Uwana Mahavidyalaya to inform students of the scholarship program. We thank Anchor for choosing schools such as ours from rural areas for this program.
මේ වනාන්තරයේ පිපෙනමල් වනාන්තරයෙන් පරවෙන්න ඉඩ නොදී මේක ලෝකයට පෙන්වන්න අවස්ථාවක් අපට ලබා දෙනවටත් සිරස ආයතනයට බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි.
The Abhiman Varam promotional campaign also took place in Ampara this evening. Students between the age of 12 and 18 can apply for the Abhiman Varam scholarship program. Students will be assessed under the 10 categories for the scholarship awarding program. You can call the hotline 0777 600 040 or log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk for more information on Abhiman Varam. The promotional campaign for the Abhiman Varam Scholarship Program 2019 will take place in the Batiklo and Nureli districts tomorrow.
Abhiman Varam Perakaman Charika.
Vista Sri Lanka, also known as the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, celebrated 5 years of excellence yesterday.
Vista Sri Lanka organized an event to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of Vista Sri Lanka was held in Colombo last evening. Minister of Ports and Shipping and Southern Development Sagala Ratnayaka presided as the chief guest of the event.
I'm very optimistic that more women will pursue careers in the maritime and logistics sectors in the coming years and take on more leadership roles. I can't stress enough on the importance of women in the workforce in any industry. It is truly inspiring to see women breaking stereotypes and pursue successful careers, enriching industries in more ways than one. Even in government, we are seeing a larger involvement of women in the workforce.
Well, we leave you tonight with a dramatic time-lapse at Chile's Coquimbo region that captured a rare total solar eclipse yesterday.
And with that, we conclude tonight's edition of Primetime News. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahan Jarampati. Good night and take care.